Zibai is the new 5-star Geo main DPS coming in version 6.3, and she's shaping up to be one of the strongest carries in the game. In this guide, we'll cover the new Lunar-Crystallize reaction, as well as her talents and rotations, best weapons, artifacts, teams, and constellations, and see if she's worth your precious Primogems. Hello, welcome to Genshin Filter, your quick guide for everything Genshin. So let's get started! The Varesa and Shilonen banners are almost here, and if you want to save money on wishes, let me share with you the method I've been personally using for a long time. Loot Bar. Loot Bar is a safe, secure and reliable way to top up Genesis crystals, with up to 25% off compared to in-game prices. Join Loot Bar Christmas Draw event to get 100% off coupon and other grand rewards, a guaranteed win for the first draw, and the first purchase during the event grants 2 times Loot Bar points to use for future purchases. The process is super simple. Choose the deal you want, enter your UID and server, and you are done. It's 100% safe and delivered just under 30 minutes. And yes, PlayStation and Xbox players can use it too. Loot Bar also supports other games like Honkai Star Rail and Withering Waves, so hit the link in the description or pin comment to try it yourself and start saving. And thank you Loot Bar for sponsoring this video. In version 6.3, we are also getting another new Lunar reaction called Lunar-Crystallize. By having Zibai or Columbina on the team, when a party member triggers Hydro-Crystallize, it will be converted into the Lunar-Crystallize reaction, generating 3 Moondrift on the field around the enemy. After triggering the Lunar-Crystallize reaction 3 times, the Moondrift will deal Lunar-Crystallize damage. This damage can crit and will scale from all the characters who contribute to it, similar to the Lunar Charged formula. This Moondrift will also be considered a construct, which can benefit some Geo characters like Chiori that enable abilities in her kit. The Geo Resonance originally needed a shield to be created to give its buffs, but now when the Lunar-Crystallize is active, the Resonance buff will no longer be required to have a shield, and will work as soon as you have the Moondrift on the field. In addition to enabling the reaction, Zibai and Columbina will also increase the Team Lunar-Crystallize base damage. For Zibai, the buff will scale off her defense, up to 14% when Zibai reaches 2000 defense. For Columbina, the buff will scale off her HP, up to 7% when Columbina reaches 35,000 HP. Zibai is a 5-star Geosword user who ascends with crit damage, and her main playstyle is as an on-field Geo main DPS that focuses on dealing very high Lunar-Crystallize damage that scales off defense, and in the right team can actually rival Mavuika and Nefer's damage to be the strongest main DPS in the game. Her normal and charge attacks are standard sword hits and irrelevant to her playstyle outside of her skill. Her elemental skill is the main part of her kit. Zibai will enter a special mode for 15 seconds, where her normal and charge attacks are converted into Geo damage that cannot be overridden, and when the team is in Ascendant Gleam, the 4th normal attack will deal an extra hit that does Lunar-Crystallize damage, meaning you want to make sure she reaches the 4th hit without being interrupted. Additionally, her skill will be converted into a special skill, and she will start to gain points. Once she has at least 70 points, she can then press her skill again to deal 2 hits of Geo damage. While the second hit is Lunar-Crystallize damage, and she can use this special skill up to 4 times, or until the skill duration ends. Zibai can gain up to 100 points, and she gets these points in a few different ways. She gains 10 points every second passively inside her skill mode. She gains 5 points when hitting an opponent with her normal attacks every 0.5 seconds. When in Ascendant Gleam and someone on the team triggers Lunar-Crystallize, she will gain 35 points every 2 seconds. Her Ascension 1 passive will increase her special skill Lunar-Crystallize damage by 40% of her defense for 4 seconds, when using her skill or when the Moondrift deals damage. Her elemental burst is very straightforward. She deals 2 hits of Geo damage, while the second hit is Lunar-Crystallize damage, with a 15-second cooldown and 60 energy. Given that it deals Lunar damage unlike Nefer's burst, you actually do want to use it in your rotation. Her Ascension 4 passive gives Zibai 15% defense for every other Geo character on the team, and 60 elemental mastery for every Hydro character, making her prioritize using only those elements on her teams for max damage. Her Overworld passive will restore 1 elemental energy to Zibai at night, every 2 seconds, when she is out of combat. For talent priority, you obviously want to focus primarily on her skill, as it is the majority of her damage, and also includes the scaling on her infused normal and charge attacks. Then you can level her burst. Her normal and charge attacks can be completely ignored. For rotations, you want to focus on dealing as many Lunar-Crystallize hits as possible with her. Start by going through your team's abilities. Then when swapping to Zibai, cast her skill to enter her special mode. Then use 4 normal attacks to stack her special skill points. Then when she has 70 points, cast her special skill and repeat it 4 times. Then cast her burst and swap off. Make sure you use all 4 normal attacks without being interrupted to deal her 4th attack that does Lunar-Crystallize damage. Her signature weapon, Light-Bearing Moonshard, is her best in slot. It gives low base attack and 88% crit damage. The effect increases her defense by 20%, and when she casts her skill, it gives 64% Lunar-Crystallize damage for 5 seconds, making it a fine stat stick for characters like Chiori and Albedo. Her next best option is Chiori's weapon, which works amazing with her, giving her everything she needs. Other great alternatives are any offensive crit sword you have, especially the ones that give skill damage in their effect. Shilonen's sword, which gives a ton of defense, is also great for her. For free-to-play, Harbinger of Dawn and Flute of Espitzal are great options. Cinnabar Spindle is also a nice stat stick, as it gives a lot of defense, but the effect only applies the buff to the first skill hit that deals regular geo damage, and not the important second hit that does Lunar-Crystallize, so it's less synergistic. Best artifact set is hands down the 4-piece Knight of the Skies Unveiling, which gives her up to 30% crit rate and 20% lunar reaction damage when the team is in Ascendant Gleam. You can also use Marechaussee Hunter if you play her with Furina, but Skies Unveiling is just better overall. For the main stats, go with defense on both the Sands and Goblet, and for the Circlet, use either crit damage or crit rate. But since the Skies Unveiling set gives you up to 30% crit rate, you're probably better off going for crit damage. For substats, focus on crit rate and damage, then defense percent and flat defense, reaching 2000 defense to max her lunar passive buff. When it comes to energy, given you will run her with 2 to 3 other Geo characters on the team, her energy needs are very low, at around 140% ER, which you can get through her substats, but even if you burst every other rotation, it's still fine. And lastly, some elemental mastery can be nice. When it comes to her best synergies and teams, in version 6.3 we are also getting Illuga, a 4-star Geo character who also specializes in Lunar-Crystallize teams and will be Zibai's dedicated support, who is extremely essential to her team, similar to Flint's with Nefer and Nefer with Lauma. Given he's a new character, I will briefly cover what he does. His skill just deals 1 hit of Geo damage, but his elemental burst provides stacks, like Shenha's Quills, that increase the active character's Geo damage based on his elemental mastery. Through his Ascension 1 passive, he also gives the party 5% crit rate and 10% crit damage to Geo damage, as well as 50 elemental mastery. His Ascension 4, like Zibai, also benefits from having only Geo and Hydro characters. By increasing the damage of the burst stacks, the more Hydro and Geo characters you have on the team. Additionally, his C4 gives the active character 200 defense, and his C6 enhances the Ascension 1 passive to give 10% crit rate and 30% crit damage, as well as 80 elemental mastery. His Constellations are a big increase to the team's damage, but they are not crucial like Chevreuse's Constellations, as Illuga is still the best support for her even at C0, so you will always want him on the team, and given he will be with her on the same banner, there is a very high chance you will get him, and hopefully a few of his Constellations. The second best character on Zibai's team would be Columbina, also coming out in the same version and being the best lunar support in the game, applying off-field Hydro, dealing very high lunar damage herself, and buffing lunar reaction damage by 40%, while also giving them special properties. In the Lunar-Crystallize case, when it is triggered, she will add a 33% chance to deal 2 hits instead of 1, altogether elevating all lunar team damage dramatically. I've made a complete Columbina guide as well, so if you want to check it out, the link is in the description. And while you're down there, if this content gives you any value, you can hit the subscribe button for more guides like this. When it comes to the last slot, it's a bit more flexible. A healer or a shielder is probably a good way to fill this slot. The best option would be Gorou, who at C4 can double as the healer for the team. And when counting both Gorou and Illuga at C6, the damage of this team can reach upwards of 140,000 DPS, rivaling both Mavuika and Nefer, who are currently the strongest DPS units in the game. The next best option would be Zhongli, providing rest shred and a great shield. You can also use a Hydro healer like Kokomi or Barbara, or even Dahlia for a shield and the attack speed buff. Another good option is putting Columbina on Prototype Amber so she can be the one healing, and going for more offensive Hydro and Geo characters like Xingqiu or Yelan, who work great with Zibai's normal attacks. For offensive Geo characters, you can use Chiori, who also works great, as the moon drifts created when a Lunar-Crystallize is triggered do count as a construct to enable her kit. or Albedo. And if you don't have Columbina, you can use him with Mona to enable the Hex and Circle buffs. And if we're talking about not having Columbina, then Aino would be the next best thing. But really any other Hydro character that provides good Hydro application will do a good job. I will say that you should try to have only Geo and Hydro characters on the team, but having one character of another element won't be that big of a damage loss like in Escoffier and Skirk teams. And you can use a character like Nefer as a shielder if you just can't get a solid sustainer in the team, and the damage can still be great. If for some reason you don't want to play Illuga on the team, you can go with Hilonen instead, but you will need 2 Hydro on the team so she can give her buff, and Furina would probably going to be the best last slot in that case. And that team is actually really strong, where it does come close to rivaling her premium team. Now let's quickly break down her constellations to see if they are worth investing in compared to her signature. For C1, when using her skill, she will start with a full skill bar of 100 points, and the max number of times she can cast her special skill will go up to 5 times, and the second Lunar-Crystallize hit of the special skill will deal 200% more damage. C2 increased the team Lunar-Crystallize damage by 30%. In Ascendant Gleam, her Ascension 1 damage buff will be further enhanced by 360% of her defense. C3 gives extra skill levels, which is a very nice damage boost. C4 stops her normal attack sequence from being reset, so you can get interrupted and not lose the 4th Lunar-Crystallize hit. In addition, this 4th hit will deal 250% of the original Lunar-Crystallize reaction damage. C5 raises her burst levels, which is a small damage boost, and C6 increases the amount of points she gets by 50%. Additionally, when she casts her special skill, it will consume all the points instead of just 70, and for every point consumed above 70, Zibai will deal higher Lunar-Crystallize damage for 3 seconds. She already competes for the strongest DPS in the game at C0, but if you do want to invest in her, her C1 does give higher damage value, especially since she has great weapon alternatives. And if you plan on reaching C2, it is a great damage increase and will make her overwhelmingly strong. Zibai is a very straightforward character that seems pretty fun to play. She hands down the best Geo DPS in the game right now, and a very competitive contender for the strongest DPS in the game, which is very impressive, as we are looking at a roster of 3 carries who deal Mavuika level team DPS and 2 Skirk level DPS. This completely ups the DPS cap and makes it the expected damage level for the new characters now, which will inevitably raise the enemy's DPS check and hurts the balance of all the units in the game. But they did give a ray of hope to buff these older units by introducing the Hex and Circle system, so I hope it will bring things back to balance soon, although I think it will take quite a while to buff all the relevant units. Anyways, when it comes to the Geo DPS units in general, I'm still on the fence about whether we truly need them, as I found there isn't much content that really asks for it. This might be an uncommon opinion and something I might do a video on in the future, but for now she is very strong for sure in the top 3 strongest DPSs in the game, and I guess she will stay at the top for a good while. So if you like her design and playstyle and plan on grabbing Columbina, then she is worth it. And that's a wrap. If this video helped you in any way, consider giving it a like and subscribe for more filter guides. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!